made the following declaration. In the field of world policy, I would dedicate this nation to the policy of the good neighbor, the neighbor who resolutely respects himself and, because he does so, respects the rights of others, the neighbor who respects his obligations and respects the sanctity of agreement in and with a world of neighbors. We are strong, but less powerful nations know that they need not fear our strength. We seek no conquest, we stand for peace. Yet we must remember that so long as war exists on earth, there will be some danger, even to the nation that most ardently desires peace. Danger that it also may be drawn into war. I have seen war. I have seen war on land and sea. I have seen blood running from the wounded. I have seen men coughing out their gassed lungs. I have seen the dead in the mud. I have seen cities destroyed. I have seen 200 limping, exhausted men come out of line, the survivors of a regiment of 1,000 that went forward 48 hours before. I have seen children starving. I have seen the agony of mothers and wives. I hate war. I wish I could keep war from all nations, but that is beyond my power. I can at least make certain that no act of the United States helps to produce or to promote war. I can at least make clear that the conscience of America revolts against war, and that any nation that provokes war forfeits the sympathy of the people of the United States. Of all the nations in the world today, we are in many ways most singularly blessed. Our closest neighbors are good neighbors. And if there are remoter nations that wish us not good but ill, they know that we are strong. They know that we can and will defend ourselves and defend our neighborhood. They know that we seek to dominate no other nation, that we ask no territorial expansion, that we oppose imperialism, and that we desire reduction in world armaments. We believe in democracy. We believe in freedom, and we believe in peace. So we offer to every nation of the world the hand clasp of the good neighbor. Let those who wish our friendship look us in the eye and take our hand.
How old are you, Rachel?
88.
88 years old. And on August 14th, 1934, you were sitting in the auditorium at Chautauqua Amphitheater.
In the choir loft, right over the entrance from the back of the amphitheater. You know, at that time, the entrance was right in the middle. Mm-hmm. Now they come from either side. But they came out of a step or two up from the back, right in the middle. And I was on the arm of the wall, leaning over his head as he came through that opening with on his son's arm.
Why were you there? Who took you there?
Oh, I took myself there.
So how old were you at the time?
Well, from 14 to 36 is what? I don't want to say it
You were
wrong.
22 years
I
old?
told somebody I couldn't believe I was that old.
And what was there much publicity to get
Oh,
you
no, no. Just the regular daily came out the next day and with the speech and so forth, and the president. But I just remember us walking out on the arm of his son. And then after he had taken 2 or 3 steps on the platform, he let go of the son and walked by himself to the podium right in front of him. And you never would have known he was having too much trouble.
What was your impression of him as far as you saw him for the first time? Did you get a sense of he was the president? Is that the fact that he looked like what you'd seen in the pictures?
Oh yes, exactly.
What kind of crowd was there?
Oh, it was full. The amp was full.
Do you know, was there any pre-program before the president came out? Do you recall? Was there singing?
Dear. Well, no, we were just sitting there waiting for him to speak. I don't recall anything. There might have been. I don't know.
I think I heard just a little bit of hail to the chief as he was coming out. There was.
Oh, I'm sure they might have had something like that.
What was your impression after the speech was over? Did your friends talk about what they just saw?
No, I was alone and I hurried out. But people did enjoy it.
What did you think today, having seen this for the first time in many, many years?
Well, it was very, very interesting, and I'm glad I got here to see it again because I heard things I didn't hear yesterday. And I'm just glad that you're doing all this because I think it's so worthwhile for everybody to think about what he was saying and seeing how much he meant it. I'm sure whatever he did, he still hated war.
Who are you?
I'm Jim Snyder.
And you from where?
I'm originally from the Pittsburgh area and now Florida.
What was the occasion? Why were you even at Chautauqua? Were you a summer resident?
My family bought a house when my mother was carrying me, and I spent my first year here in 1923.
Oh my gosh. So when you got word, or your family got word that President Roosevelt would be coming, how did you know about it? Was it through the Daily?
Probably so, yes. And we were here for the summer, and I was 13 years old at the time. So that I was going to the boys' club, and it was our regular activity for the summer.
Right.
We were here from June until Labor Day.
Were your parents Republican or Democrat?
I think most of my family was Republican, but during the Roosevelt administration, one of my uncles was heavily Democratic.
Okay. So, did your mom and dad then say, "Gee, you're going to see this"? Or did
No, nobody said anything. Everybody was pretty free in those days. Now, I would say they asked earlier about Chautauqua and how the politics were, and I would have to say that it was about 2/3 Republican at that time in the mid-30s. Now I think it's about 2/3 Democrat.
August 14th, 1936, you're in the crowd. Where are you sitting?
No seat. The place was jammed. I was standing.
Do you recall? About 6.
I was 13.
Do you recall whether there was any pre-program at all? Was there any music or anything to sort of keep the crowd active?
I can't recall that.
So the president comes on stage. What's your impression? You're seeing the president?
Well, of course, he was pretty well crippled, and he hobbled up to the to the podium and started his speech. But you would certainly know that he was not able to get around very well, even though he didn't like to have people helping him.
As you were watching this today, what memories came back?
Well, I can't say that I have any particular ones, except that the speech was "I hate war," and then of course the Republicans added, "And Eleanor hates war, and Fowler hates war."
When it ended, was there a conversation on the grounds after the president? It was a short speech, and he was there for a short period of time.
Yes.
Was there a lot of afterglow?
At my age, I wasn't a whole lot interested in politics. The rest of the older people probably discussed it a lot.
Right, right. You didn't hear anything from your parents talking about it at all?
No, I know what they were thinking, and they certainly weren't in favor. I think his "I hate war" was certainly a good political move, since he was running for election that year, re-election.
Did you go to any of the other speeches that year? Apparently, Mary Frances saying all four of them.
Landon, and it might be interesting to know that two other things that are high points in my life at Chautauqua was Sousa. I passed him about 2 or 3 feet, or maybe 3 feet on the brick walk right behind the amphitheater. He was very tall, but he was very short. I was only 8 years old, and he wasn't a whole lot taller.
Yeah.
And then the first wedding in the Hall of Philosophy, which I was the janitor of when I was in high school. I got the big salary of $12.75 a week and a gate ticket.
Well, that's very valuable.
And Mary Frances Bester Cram it was her wedding to a captain in the Army.
No kidding.
And that was in the early 40s. It had to be about 42, because the war, I think, was already on. And that was the last year that I had the job, because I was in it the next year.
Sure. Did you hear the story that that gentleman was saying about the comedians talking about Roosevelt saying, "I hate war," and here they're in the middle of the war?
Oh yeah, and everybody talked about it all the time, and of course a lot of people in the service, and I voted during the war too. That was my first election.
How did you vote?
I voted for Republican.
You did hate war. Oh, that's terrific. Any other memories that you, as you saw the film today, that evoked?
No, there was such a big crowd that you really didn't notice any particular thing. And as I guess you brought out the fact that the amphitheater has been very much changed since those days. They didn't have the posts in the choir area. They didn't have the posts in the back of the amphitheater, and they had at least 3 more rows where they now have the storage area.
Terrific. Hey, this is great. I love this.
Where's Bud? There he is. There's another
front page, and you had the name. So.
Oh yeah. Well, that again, it was literally a throwaway piece when I talked to John. I said, "We got this tape, and we ought to show it someplace, maybe
Great.
a little classroom or someplace." And he goes, "Well, we'll get the Hall of Christ." Okay. Bada bing. Obviously, there's an interest. Sir, who are you?
My name is Norman Jacobs, and I'm like Jim was, an old Chautauquan going way back.
Now, where are you from originally?
From the Pittsburgh area, a place called Natrona Heights.
So you're a boys' club guy too, and
I went to kindergarten, Boys and Girls Club, high school club, college club, worked here, a whole bit.
so August 14th, 1936 rolls around. Do you come on your own, or does your parents bring you?
No, we had a family cottage, and a block and a half from the amphitheater, so we knew always what was going on down there. But I was just 9 years old at the time, and at that age I had just managed to get away from going to the amp with my parents and all, and you roamed the perimeter, and we rode bicycles and all that sort of thing. So I didn't sit and listen. I was roaming the outside perimeters. And that was always a banner year, though, because that was the year that Alf Landon also came. So we had both of the presidents, or both of the presidential candidates there.
As you saw the movie today, and obviously saw some visual effects that you probably had maybe never seen. Any emotions that evoked there, as far as size of crowd, reaction of crowd?
No, in my memory, they were just big crowds, and nothing to compare them with. But for the family and for the institution, they were big events when you get a president to come and be on your platform. That was a great thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
What else did a kid of 9 years old do at Chautauqua?
Well, I was going to club mostly at that time.
Right.
And you'd go to club in the morning and the afternoon, and then if you were still up to it, you'd go over to the bathing beach next door to the Boys and Girls Club and swim again. Mm-hmm. And if you went to club regularly, you learned to swim at a fairly early age and kept it up for a good long while.
Aside from being interviewed by me, what's the highlight of your career at Chautauqua?
Oh, I haven't hit it yet. I'm still coming up. I'm still waiting for it to happen.
Good answer.
Tell them who you were looking for in the film. Yes.
Well,
Please.
My grandfather was Sam Hazlett, and he was active at that time, and we think he was on the stage, so I was looking at the pictures, I'd rather see the small one you talked about, maybe with the resolution sometime.
I think what you need to do, buy the book. This is a plug for the book, and within the book are at least 3 photos of the day, and one of them is sort of a stage shot. So starting with that, you'd say, all right, here he is, and then at some point when you show the movie again, maybe next year, you'll say, there he is, it's live. Now, your grandfather was very much involved in Chicago.
Yes.
What was his role?
Well, he was involved with the Chautauqua Reorganization Corporation, and they started in '32 to redeem the bond issue that had been outstanding. So he was involved in the financial push from '32 through '36. And then later, I think 46 to about 56 when he died, he was president of the institution.
Has anybody sat down and gotten your story with relation to your grandfather and Chautauqua?
No, but should have really had my mother, who's gone.
Right.
Now my sister's gone, so there isn't too much available.
Do you have archives of your grandfather's time at Chautauqua?
Not of my own personal ones, no. A few items here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
I think,
That's all.
I'm going to plug for John Schmitz. If he were here, he'd be saying, I need to talk to you. I get at least get a copy because I'm a very big fan at some point. That's
Have the record.
just have the record of it all.
Yeah.
So I'll plug for him, even though
Yeah, I'll talk to him sometime.
this has been terrific. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
My wife can give you that verse, as she remembers the full verse about. Good.
I was going to
Okay, so you had a chance to talk to your husband's mother about her reaction to Chautauqua Institution on August 14th, 1936.
Right. I have a feeling that she was on the stage. If she wasn't, I mean, she was the daughter of the Hazletts, and if she wasn't there, she heard from her parents, but she said that they held back the crowd until the gates were opened finally, and the people actually came down over the pews. She said it was just like a wave of people coming toward them on the stage. And rather than wait to go down the aisles, they just over the seats. So that's my mother-in-law's memory and not mine. And the other thing I was going to tell Mr. Schmitz, I think I did tell him, was that during the war, people said, I hate war, Eleanor hates war, Fowler hates war, the people hate war, and then people would say, well, no, what the hell are we fighting for? But it was definitely a joke. But that's my story.
It's a wonderful story.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Rachel, obviously you were at Chautauqua.
I was born on the grounds.
Born on the ground.
Right.
Well, let's tell me, how did that happen?
That's what they did in those days. Children were born at home.
So tell me about your parents. What did they do?
Well, they worked on the grounds.
Mm-hmm.
My father worked for Ralph Norton.
Okay.
Do you know Ralph Norton's
I know the name.
story?
No, I don't know the story. Go ahead, tell it.
Well, his grandfather was O.W. Norton, and they came from Sherman, not his grandfather, his father. And they came from Sherman in the beginning of our knowledge of it. And O.W. Norton was a man that played the bugle for the men that were fighting down in the Civil War.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And he was the first one to blow a bugle or have music from the soldiers or for them.
Read that, yeah.
And then Ralph Norton, of course, is the one that put these the fountain here in the center, the Bester Plaza fountain. But Ralph Norton was the one that had it done. And of course, he was the father of B. Norton, who died just a short time ago. Mm-hmm. And B was very attractive, maybe you ladies knew her. She was very active in the women's club and on the grounds.
So your parents worked for which Nortons?
Ralph Norton.
What did they do for them?
Oh, well, my father started out because Ralph Norton had a daughter who had fallen out of a cherry tree when she was 9 years old and broken her back, mm-hmm. and was always confined to a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And when they came to Chautauqua, they had the house, it was on the lakefront, one of the farthest out at the time, and the dock in front. The Norton dock was the only dock on the front of the lake from Chautauqua for years and years and years. And now you go down there and you see docks all the way along. But at that time, Mr. Norton was the only one that had a dock, and he had a motorboat. He had a bigger boat when he first came because his sister, with the broken back, mm-hmm. was confined to this wheelchair, and she liked to go out every afternoon on the lake. And Norton hired my father to take her out every day on the lake.
No kidding.
You know, and then it worked, and he managed his wife, Mrs. Norton, wanted a flower garden beside the house, and he worked in her flower garden and just did the general things around the house that were needed for many years.
So where'd your parents live?
On the grounds. We had a house on the grounds.
And so you were born in that house?
I was born in a house, this was in the summertime, and it was down on Vincent, about the third one down. And then I had a younger brother who just died, and I'm going to California for his services this next week. But he was born in the house over beyond the Albion there, the old Albion, down on, what is it, street? where the condos are now, going down Vincent, the first one down. I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, he was born down there. We came along at different times that were summer times, I guess, because my father owned the house on Hearst and sold it to a family from Cleveland. And we bought a house on Scott, and that's the house I still have.
I'll be darned. Wow. You are an alpha and omega type person here. Gee, well, and you have seen much. What's your highlight at Chautauqua?
Oh, well, of course I like music, and I went to the girls' club for a little while, not very long, but a little while. When I was growing up, I used to sell dailies when Sousa was here. The man was talking about Sousa, and I was down there every day and every night as long as they were playing for a whole week.
He would bring his band in the main gate and play as he went down the road.
What was that, Rose?
Sousa would bring his band in at the main gate and just march it down the street to the amphitheater.
Oh, well, that I don't recall because I wasn't out there on the street. But I'm sure he did that. I remember him walking by, and the other players, because I was down at selling the dailies right there where the seats were.
I understood that the band players pretty much stayed at the Al Dean condominium, which was right there, right near the amphitheater.
Yeah. At that time, girls sold dailies too. Then for a long time, they would cut the girls out. They only had boys selling dailies. And then it worked back to girls again with them.
So you probably were one of the first. There's probably a story there. Are you writing this down? This is good. This is a scoop.
How much did they cost then? How much did the dailies cost?
Oh, I can't tell you now. I don't know. That was a long time ago. But it wasn't very much.
This has been terrific, Rachel. Thank you. Thank you for that.
From New York comes President Roosevelt's declaration on foreign policy, which he made not as a political candidate, but as a spokesman for the American people.
I've always thought that peace, like charity, begins at home. And that's why we have begun at home, here in North and South and Central America. But peace in the Western world is not all we seek. I have seen war. I have seen war on land and sea. I have seen blood running from the wounded. I have seen children starving. I have seen the agony of mothers and wives. I hate war. We are strong, but less powerful nations know that they need not fear our strength. We seek no conquest, we stand for peace.